Hey everybody, Travis Holzem with Food Force Abundance, Minnesota, and just another update on my indoor garden down in my basement here in my townhouse. Just I'm gonna flip the camera around and show you what's going on. It's been a few days, so I'm just gonna show you some progress and how things are growing and some things I've added down here. Anyway, here we go. We're gonna flip you around. There's my deep water culture system, and cucumbers are starting to grow some. I trimmed up this cilantro, and I still haven't moved it yet, but I'm gonna move that out of there into a pot and put something else that's gonna fill my belly instead of just being a spice or being an herb, you know. Then we got the eggplant over there that's starting to fill out. And you got the pepper plant that's starting to flower. You can see all the flowers in there. And so that's going to be fruiting here. I already got some flowers in here. Right there. Always give them a little flick. Always give them a little flick. I guess that's it helps with their pollination stuff, I guess. But I don't know. I just do what I'm learning as I go with all these plants, and Google, YouTube, permaculture experts. That's where I learn all my stuff. And it's trial and error. You just kind of learn as you go and just become good at it by making mistakes and learning from your mistakes, because then you won't do them again. And here we have honeydew melon or cantaloupe, one of the two. I can't remember which, but there's my deep water bucket system. And I could set you up with one of these in your garage, in your basement, and wherever you want for about $500. That includes labor and the entire system and setting it up. If you can see, all them hoses did not cut themselves, and this whole system does not come assembled one bit. You got to put the entire system together, so it takes some time. It takes a few hours to do it right. You could do it in less time, but you know, you just want to make sure everything is perfect, because you don't want to have any leaks. And anyway, yeah, so for a 6 to 8 bucket system, say $500. And here we go with my tubs. This is just a hydroponic bubbler system. There's a bubbler in each tub, and each has 11 sites on it. I pretty much use these as starter tubs and then move them somewhere else into a system like this, just to get the root system started, and then you can put them in here, and then it's easier to I don't know, they grab on a lot easier, I guess. But anyway, we got some tomatoes here. Who knows how the tomatoes will turn out? I really don't care. I forgot they were even in here. We got some oregano, some rosemary, some basil. This is some eggplant here. I do not know if it's gonna work, but we're gonna just let it grow. Parsley. This parsley had the largest parsley leaves I have ever seen in my life. See the size of the leaves on this pepper plant? The parsley leaves were half that size, and they were just huge, you can see I cut off a lot of it and basically just use it for cooking. There's some basil. Doesn't look like it's doing too great. But this pepper plant is starting to flower in here, so we're gonna start seeing some fruit here pretty soon. And now we got the carrots are all coming up. And I threw some extra seeds in there, so we'll see what happens with those. I'm sure they'll start popping up soon. Then we got our snow peas and we got our bush beans in the back there. One is taking off, the other one not so much, so we'll see what happens. Might have to plant another one because they grow so fast they can probably catch up. Let me get over here. Got some onions, got some lettuce, which is completely taken off. That's going to fill up this whole pot here pretty quick, and in about a week I'll be able to have a salad out of it. There's a lemon tree that's growing. It's about 4 months old. That's how big it grew in 4 months from a seed. This lime tree right here is about 2 weeks old, and it's funny how fast it is growing compared to the other ones. This lime tree is about 2.5 months old, and they're all from seed. We have some cabbage starting here, and then some onions. Then remember the moringa tree the other day? Look how fast that thing grew. It will be, if you look, it'll probably be this high in about 3 weeks. And speaking of moringa, there's a couple cuttings from a moringa tree that I had sent to me. I think they came from Texas. But anyway, they're cuttings from a moringa tree, and they are supposed to sprout within a couple weeks, or 2 weeks to a month. And these ones are about 3 weeks old, so it's looking like they're going to be a dud. This one's about 1.5 months old. Nothing's happening with it, and probably nothing will. I had them outside, but I decided to bring them in where I could control the weather. You know, I could control the sunlight, and I could control the heat, so they won't be drying out in the 100-degree weather outside. Because I water them in the morning and wet them down, and then the heat just soaks up that moisture right out of them. So I have 10 more outside, so I think I might bring half of them in and just see what happens and see if I have better results and get them to sprout. Let's go back here. The other day I had pretty much 0 in here with radishes, and now 2 days later, 3 days later, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I have about close to 20 radishes growing here, which they only take about a month to harvest. So I'm gonna have a bunch of radishes in a month. I don't know how big they'll turn out because it's in a container, but I'm trying. We'll just see what happens. Exotic plants, I'm just growing. They're just for, they're nothing. They're not even, they don't provide any food or anything. They're just plants, and they're exotic, and I'm trying to grow them just to see what happens. Down here we have some kale and some red cabbage and some Swiss chard, and there's gonna be some romaine coming up too. And here we got broccoli and eggplant, and they're coming along pretty good. Over here we have some asparagus, and I don't know if you can see how tall this is. This is in a week. 1 week to grow that high. This is crazy. Now we have some peppers. That pepper plant's not looking very good. This one's growing really well. Then we got some onions that are growing pretty good too. Spinach, it looks sick, but it's growing, keeps continuing to grow, so it's not the prettiest looking spinach. Then we got some romaine coming up and some arugula coming up there. These are, I just cut these off and I'm gonna let them go back into the soil. And just like outside, I would cut these leaves and let them just go back into the soil for the nutrients. And that is what we got. That's where we're at. As you can see, I come down here once a day for 5 to 10 minutes. I don't really have to do anything because most of them are watering themselves. The lights are on timer. I just have to give a little bit of water to all these guys in all the containers, which doesn't take any time at all. I have a little, actually have a sprayer. So look at that. That's what I use outside, but I bring it down here and I give them a spray with a mist, get the soil wet. And that's all I gotta do because the soil's not gonna dry out down here. I can give it a little squirt and it will stay moist until I water them. Sometimes I don't have to water them every day just because the soil stays so moist down here. Anyway, that's what we got. I put up some fly strips because of these flies, and I tell you what, there's probably 500 flies on these things, maybe 1,000. That's a lot of flies. Anyway, grow your own food and start becoming self-sufficient. There's problems coming and you need to prepare yourself. I'm gonna flip around here and what we got. So that's just what it is. Growing your own food, it just becomes part of your life. Anyway, take care, have a great Sunday, and I will be back soon with some more updates. Next video is my outdoor garden, and I'm also starting an arrow garden on the countertop of all lettuces and spinaches, so I can have them right at my fingertips when I'm cooking dinner. So enjoy today. To your abundance. Travis Holzum with Food Forest Abundance, Minnesota. Take care.